Hello and welcome to the FocusHoops WNBA Show. It is episode 13. That is right, we've been doing this for 13 straight weeks. Plus, like we had this 1 week at the start that we didn't release because it was a little test. Plus, we've had live shows in between. It is the second to last, the penultimate episode. And we are talking about the WNBA champions. They have been crowned. They are the Seattle Storm. And you know there's only one person that we could bring on board to discuss that with, the future co-host of the Kaz and Daz show. It is Kaz Bullock. Kaz, how are you doing this evening?
Hello, I'm good. Enjoying watching Seattle being crowned champions. I might have given away a spoiler there. Whoops.
I mean, listen, if you don't know now, you know, in the words of people that I can't remember. Let's just have a look. There it is. They've been grayed out. The Las Vegas Aces have been defeated by the Seattle Storm. It was a sweep, a clean sweep. They won it in 3 games, 3-0. And I mean, I didn't see it coming. Let's just make that clear. I didn't see that coming. Kaz even didn't see that coming. And Kaz, we're going to talk about your predictions in just a moment because you were on the ball with quite a few. This image, by the way, courtesy of the WNBA, thank you very much for them, showing celebrations as Seattle win their 4th WNBA finals in their 4th appearance. So far, we can't have that LeBron James chat about this organization. 4 appearances, 4 titles. They are now up there with the best teams in the history of the WNBA. They're up there with the Lynx and Comets, who both have 4 appearances. 4 victories. The Comets have 4 appearances. They are no longer, obviously, an organization. Minnesota, they have 4 in 6. And your guys, the Los Angeles Sparks, 5 appearances, 3 titles. So I'm just saying. I don't know what I'm saying. There's nothing I'm really saying. 3-0. 3-0. What do you make of it?
A sweep was a surprise, I think. I always thought Seattle were going to win. I do think Vegas were going to get a game. And I was thinking the other day, maybe this is probably a point we need to come to later, but would Vegas have been better off getting the 2 seed, because that series that they had with Connecticut just took so much out of them, and might they have been better placed playing Minnesota, which maybe might have been a bit more beneficial for them. But Seattle were a rested team. They swept Minnesota as well, 3-0. They had an extra couple of days rest on Vegas. Vegas lost Erica Hamby in time for game 1. So she was out the whole of the finals, and they looked pretty outmatched to me against Seattle. Asia Wilson was great. She did everything that Asia Wilson does, but Breanna Stewart was on another level through the finals.
So yeah, let's just blow through all the graphics immediately. There she is, Breanna Stewart. Now these are from all 6 games that she played in the playoffs, these stats, but across the 6 games, averaged 25.7 points per game, 7.8 rebounds, 4 assists, and shot over 50% from the field, from beyond the arc. But disappointingly, just 85% from 3. No 50, 40, 90 here, which is the only stat that really matters. Let's be honest about things.
It is.
Stewart was incredible. Stewart was just unbelievable to watch, wasn't she?
She was unreal. She shot 71% from the field in game 3. And then 75% from 3. She needed game 1. She had 37 points, nearly breaking Angel McCoughtry's finals record. And she just looked unstoppable. And it's so good to see, coming off that injury that she had last year, the Achilles injury, which we know can be a career changer for some players. But if anything, she almost looks better than she did in 2018. And she's 4 years into her career. She has got so many more years left, and she is just going to dominate like she did these finals and the last finals.
Yeah, just 26 years old. Like you say, Kaz, 4th year as a pro, and already she has done everything you could do as a pro. She could walk away tomorrow. She's walking into the Hall of Fame, and she's going to be in that conversation of the best to have ever done it. World Cup MVP, EuroLeague MVP, a 4-time college champion. Was it a 4-time player of the tournament as well in college?
Most outstanding player of the tournament, yeah.
That's right.
4.
2-time finals MVP, 1-time WNBA MVP, 2 times WNBA champion. Was that close to winning MVP this season? Let's not kid ourselves. It was a two-person race plus Betnaj Laney for like a little bit between Stewart and Wilson. Little callback there for you. Enjoy that. Goddamn, what a player. What a player. And I think people have been talking a little bit about like, why are certain players getting so much like push on merchandise and stuff? And I think people are like Stewie, the media in the bubble and commentators, especially on ESPN, they seem a little bit pally and chummy with Breanna Stewart. Again, referring to it almost constantly as Stewie. But then you just look at what she does, the resume. I mean, listen, we don't like to make male comps, but the LeBron James of the current WNBA, by far the best player. You've got A'ja Wilson right there. But
yeah.
The resume that Breanna Stewart's put together over the recent years, at least, does outweigh A'ja Wilson for right now. No doubt A'ja Wilson's got more MVPs. We'll see what she does in Europe. I say that doubting myself because I've not actually seen any news on Wilson coming to Europe. But what do you think about how Stewart is spoken about?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. There is kind of quite a push with her, but I think it's right to. We want the league. The league itself wants to push the greatest players in the league and the greatest players on the planet. And Breanna Stewart is one of the greatest, if not the greatest players of women's basketball on the planet. And she should be, her face should be out there, her merchandise should be out there. She should be talked about like this. The resume that you've just reeled off there, it's frankly ridiculous for someone that's 26. Like who wins 4 college titles, 4 outstanding players of the year? She's everything she does is really well deserved, and I think that her and A'ja Wilson will be a really interesting battle in a way for years to come, because Asia's obviously in her 3rd year. They're both, they've got the league's got such a bright future with those as the face of the league. But as you say, the things that Breanna Stewart's achieved, it's incredible, and it should be shouted about and it should be pushed, so people know and recognise how great a player she is and what she does for women's basketball here, overseas, and just in general. Yeah,
I'm just talking about Wilson in particular. She played overseas in China in the 17-18 season and 18-19. She tweaked her knee 4 games into the season, so she went back to America to rehab. And I suppose there wasn't really a 19-20 season for her to get her teeth into. So we'll see. We'll see if Wilson comes and plays in Europe or goes to China or exactly what happens there. But I completely agree with you. The best players in the sport need to be shouted about, need to be screamed about from the top of the mountain. I heard the Below the Rim guys, they were talking the other day about who's more likely to get a 3rd MVP. Is it Ramon Fletcher or is it Justin Robinson? 2 of the very best players in the BBL now. And I reckon those 2 could absolutely cut it in any era of the BBL, past and present. Sorry, we're talking about men's basketball again, but the best players should always be praised, always be celebrated and held up rightly as what they are. Some of the best players to have ever played the game. So I am not opposed to this Breanna Stewart loving that we are experiencing, and rightly so. let's talk very quickly, though, about your favourite segment in a WNBA broadcast. It's Sue Bird.
It's...
4th WNBA title. Again, picture used courtesy of the WNBA. So big thank you to them and their incredible photography work. Sue Bird, 4th title. Is she the greatest of all time? The greatest of all time?
4th title in 3 different decades as well, which is a bit crazy to think about.
And if it matters, and I don't know how much it matters, but if it matters, all with the same franchise. Never lost in a final, because Seattle have never lost in a final.
As she said, they're either in the finals or they're not. Yes. In her interview. Greatest of all time. I mean, she's up there. She's absolutely up there. What I find really interesting about Sue Bird and what I really enjoy about her is that, you know, she's not the flashiest player, is she? Her passes as well. You know, her assists in the finals were ridiculous. What did she average? I mean,
obviously 16 in game 1.
Yeah, creating a new record that she'd got. She's not, as if you're comparing passes. If you're comparing Vandersloot and Sue Bird, I feel like Vandersloot's kind of a bit flashier, but Sue Bird gets the ball to where her teammates need to be. Going after games 1 and 2, Seattle was shooting 70% off Sue Bird passes. So 70%. That's just crazy. She's getting the ball where it needs to be, and she knows exactly where her teammates are going to be. And she might not be the highest scorer. I think in her 16 assist game, she might have had 2 points. So the way she affects the team and the way she affects the outcome of the game on the floor without doing kind of the scoring or the flashy things, it's so good to see. So yeah, it's definitely.
We've lost Kaz for just a moment then, but Kaz, obviously rightly so, getting very excited about things. Well, there Kaz goes. Hi, Darren Paul here. Oh, Kaz is rejoining. The joys of a live internet broadcast. Kaz, are you back?
Yeah, sorry, my internet just cut off then.
That's all right. We need to have a word with your internet provider again. Let's just talk. Sorry, I know that we're in a Sue Bird moment, but you brought up shooting percentages, okay? In the closeout game 3 of this series, Brianna Stewart shot 7-14, 71% from the field, 10 of 14 in the closeout game, 26 points, a game score of 20.8. Game previous, 53%. Oh, sorry, 54%. Game score of 20.7. Game 1, 625%. Sorry, 625%, 0.625.
That's impressive.
Game score of 331. Overall, those 3 games averaged 627 from the floor.
That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
What are you meant to do with that? And that's we spoke about this on Friday. No, not Friday. Sorry, Sunday. In our very well viewed live stream. Great conversation with the chat. And again, if you're watching now, if you're watching on demand, get your comments in. We love to hear them. And hey, it really made for what I thought was probably our best ever show. I don't know what you think on that day that it was on Sunday. Anyway, we made a comment on Sunday. They have just played the perfect game, Las Vegas. Pretty much played about as well as you can play. What did they score? Like 92 points?
91. So, 93, 104, and 92. 104.
No, sorry, but I'm talking about Vegas now.
Oh, Vegas, sorry. Vegas 92 to 59.
And in game 2?
Game 3.
What did they score in game 2?
Sorry, my bad. So game 1 was 93 to 80.
Yep.
Game 2, 104 to 91. And game 3 was 92 to 59.
Okay. So game 3, obviously, an enormous drop-off. But in game 2, what they were able to do in game 2 was absolutely absurd. And they still ended up losing quite comprehensively, at least in the final 5 or 6 minutes when they just ran out of gas and the game got away from them. And again, we look at Stuart's numbers. What the hell are you meant to do with that?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the point I was getting to. My apologies.
No, I was just going to say, and Vegas were making their threes. Vegas were shooting like 7-8 threes, making 7-8 threes, which we know that they're not a team that do that in the regular season. They were getting like 2 or 3. So they're doing things that they didn't do well in the regular season and they still weren't there. They were still too far away.
Sue Bird, just whilst we're on the topic, averaged 11 assists per game, 16 in game 1, 10 in game 2, and just a measly 7 in game 3 in an absolute blowout.
I think she sat out most of the fourth as well in game 3. So
she did, yeah. She played just 21 minutes in game 3, but I mean, very strange game of basketball. First quarter, aces. You're like, oh, we've got a game. We've got a real game. They got into a nice, healthy lead. I need to just double check the exact. They got into an 11-2 lead. And then aces still led by 5, 21-16 with 2 minutes to go. And then it got tied up. In fact, Storm took the lead at the end of 1, 23-21. And then it was Storm basketball from then on. Second quarter ended 43-34, and it never got close. Final score 92-59. So, if you're that healthy a lead, do you need do you need Sue Bird to be out there playing meaningful minutes?
It's not worth it, is it? And Brianna Stewart sat out most of the second as well because she got in foul trouble early. So she left. She was on the bench with about 7 minutes to go in the second, and it didn't come back till the third. So she was out for a chunk of the game, and they have so much depth. Jewel Lloyd, Jordan Canada, just everyone on that team stepped up, and everyone contributed, especially in game 3, which is the problem Vegas had. I think they just didn't have the depth to contend with it.
No, they didn't. Excuse me? No, they didn't, and just nobody really came, aside from Asia Wilson, who did what Asia Wilson does, is just competes hard and plays hard. But beyond that, they had very little. 18 points from Wilson, 11 points from Jackie Young, Kayla McBride 9, Angel McCoughtry 7, played just under 20 minutes. Carolyn Swords, 10 rebounds from her, 6 points. I mean, she's not a big scorer. Again, she did great work on the glass, 10 rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds. I mean, that to me sounds like a Carolyn Swords kind of game.
Yeah.
But, she has her limitations as a player. But again, she was retired at the start of the season, and she's still pulling down 10 boards in a finals game. I mean, I'm hell of impressed by that still.
Yeah, I am. It's great. And it was great to see her in the finals because, was it about May or June? She was picked up in February. She was in the front office, and then in May and June, she's in getting towards the wobble. Jackie Young's 11 points as well. Were on 3 of 12 shooting, which hasn't been her best performance. It did surprise me that Angel didn't play longer as well, because I know Bill Laimbeer had been saving her in the playoffs, getting a rest because she's come back off the injury, but it was kind of a do or die game, and someone else needed to step up alongside Asia to carry them through, and there wasn't really anything there.
No, and you do wonder, and I don't think they'll ever, they'll never say, will they? But I do wonder how much of an impact game 2 took out of them. And after, they played a fantastic game of basketball. I cannot stress that enough. And even that wasn't enough. Like, kind of where do you go from there? Not hopeless, but damn close to it. Maybe. I don't know. What do you think?
Yes, it's got to be so disheartening as well. You play a great game. You shoot, your threes are falling. You're shooting them, which you don't do in the regular season. Everything in the paint's going, and you do everything right, and you still aren't close enough to it. So how do you go into the next game and think, well, kind of what can we improve on? I know after game 2, Bill Lambert was saying that he didn't think they were getting the foul calls that they used to in the regular season. That was one of his complaints, but they did, because they went to the line 5 times in game 2 compared to Seattle's 15. During the regular season, Vegas and Asia were Vegas were getting the most free throws and Asia was getting to the line the most. But I mean, they got the calls in game 1. They got them in game 2. They went to the line 18 times in game 3.
Game 3, yeah. 9
Sorry,
game 2, yeah.
Game 2. Sorry, they only had 5. But they did it. So game 1, when they're getting to the line, when they're making threes, kind of what more can you do? And I think they were maybe a couple of pieces away. The De'Erica Hamby injury really hampered them, because her coming off the bench and leading that second unit, you could just the sheer amount of turnovers they had. I think they had 18 in game 3. It just, like, the players that they got handling the ball just didn't look comfortable and confident with it when they came up against Seattle. And if you go back and watch the 2 games, the regular season games, where the first one where Stewart was playing, De'Erica Hamby really kind of closed her down. She obviously still had a 20-plus point game, but I think we said at the time it was kind of a quiet one. It wasn't as efficient as it usually is. She had to really struggle to get those points. And, Hamby might not have totally changed the outcome, but she would have definitely made it harder for Stewart, which then you have to rely a little bit more on the rest of the team. So it was just a big loss. I think they just ran out of gas and they ran out of manpower towards the end.
That De'Erica Hamby injury is an absolute killer for me, and it's a real what if on the season. How does this finals play out if Hamby, sixth woman of the year, and like you say, fantastic in the second unit, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe she's the second unit. Maybe she plays, with the first unit in place of McCoughtry, or maybe even on there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you make that 3 work? I've heard a lot of interesting discourse around the NBA this last little while, that the big 3 era in the NBA is done. You don't need 3 anymore. You need 2. You got AD and LeBron. You've got, I mean, that's it, isn't it, really?
Harden and Westbrook, I guess, was supposed to be a 2. Come
on, don't be ridiculous. Don't be absurd. Sorry.
I didn't come up with that.
Two guys that can't get it done. You got Brown and Tatum. But, I still think in the WNBA you need that real third element. And the thing with the Seattle Storm is they've got 5 of them.
Yeah. Yeah, they've not got, even going so far as to 7.
I mean, yeah, you very much could do, but I'm just looking at that starting 5. You got Brianna Stewart, Alicia Clark, Jewel Lloyd, Natasha Howard, and Sue Bird.
I mean, they're 5 incredible players.
Yeah.
Like, you're lucky to have players maybe of, 1 or 2 of those players of that caliber on your team, and they've got starting 5. Jewel Lloyd is so good, and I'm so excited to see her progress and what she's going to do in the future as well. Because they're not, this Seattle team as well, they're not an older team, are they? Sorry, they are in the sense that they've got, one of the oldest players in Sue Bird and a couple of others, but like Jewel Lloyd, Brianna Stewart, Jordan Canada.
How old's Natasha Howard, for that matter? Because I know Alicia Clark's 33. Natasha Howard's just turned 29. So those 2 have years left in them as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Ezzie McBaker as well, that they picked up last year. She's been very impressive this season as well. She's, they develop the talent as well, and they're really good at keeping a core and keeping players there, not having too much turnover.
Now, looking at Vegas, and do you know what? Shall we just have a quick break before we dive properly into the Vegas show? Let's just have a little word from Notch. There it is. Woo! We'll be right back. Word from our sponsors, Notch, the mark of achievement, and we are very glad to have them on board with Focus Hoops this year. They make fantastic bracelets that look super stylish and really help you celebrate your sporting achievement. They've just launched a basketball collection, and we're really excited to be on board with them. Let's imagine that you're a player. Let's say that you're Courtney Vandersloot. You got 18 assists in a single ball game, and you want a notch and a bracelet to commemorate that fact. Well, you can do just that. Customize it to your team colors, put the year that you achieved it, and get it the exact size that you need. There are a number of the colors available. Or maybe you're a coach. Maybe you're the coach of a basketball team. Let's just say that you're the London Tyrannosaurus Rex. Your team wears red. You had the league's most valuable player, the MVP, and you want to celebrate that. You want to award them with a great looking notch bracelet. Well, you can do just that. And you can get it saying MVP on the notch itself. That's the charm. You can get the colour you want. Gold is one that I'd go for if we're commemorating the best player in the league. We could even get the team logo, if it's the Tyrannosaurus Rex, let's say, on there. And present it in a beautiful presentation case. Huge thanks for Notch for coming aboard Focus Hoops. Hello, welcome back to the Focus Hoops WNBA Show. My name is Darren Paul, joined by Kaz Bullock. As always, you know, Kaz and Daz. Kaz and Daz. Kaz and Daz.
It's got a good ring to it, that.
Kaz and... Going to stop doing this one these days, but not today. Let's check out Notch, their brand new basketball collection. It looks absolutely stunning. They just put out some new pictures of their beautiful Notch bracelets. Link in the description. Check them out. And yeah, support Notch and help Notch support Focus Hoops. Just another basketball update. Valencia Basket currently beating Real Madrid. Just seen that. Quarter 34-43 or something like that. Let's talk about the Aces. Let's talk about Las Vegas Aces. Obviously, league MVP in Asia Wilson. 6th player of the year, Derek Ahambi. The Focus Hoops Coach of the Year. Obviously, didn't win the WNBA Coach of the Year, but you know we won't hold that against the WNBA too badly. I think they were. I mean, we just talked about this off air beforehand. I think the series is very different with Hamby, and before the season, I thought that would be enough to get them over the hump.
Yeah.
The way Brianna Stewart played, like an absolute woman possessed, as did Sue Bird in game 1, as did Alicia Clark all 3 games. That's not taking anything away from Sue Bird in the other 2 games, but you know, when you've got like a record-breaking game and then you sort of tone it down a little bit, definitely in game 3. Game 2, she was excellent as well. Funnily, I think her lowest game score was in game 1, which shows to me that the game score is immensely flawed because she got 16 assists. Anyway.
Index.
Yeah, come on. Just get some FIBA scorers on this. I know they'll have to type 1 extra foul, but it's fine. Or better yet, get rid of that stupid... Anyway. I don't know, man. I don't know if Hamby would be enough. I think they don't... I think they win game 2 with Hamby, and then it's a completely different series.
Yeah.
I don't know if that one very, very, very good elite level player is quite enough. What do you think, Kaz?
Yeah, I agree. I think they get a game with Hamby, maybe 2, but they just need something more as well. Even with Angel McCoughtry, if she was playing like she did in the Connecticut series, she wasn't as efficient, I think, in this series as she was against Connecticut. But they just need something else. So Danielle Robinson moved to the starting lineup in place of Lindsay Allen, who didn't even play in the Connecticut series. And then she's kind of thrown in the finals and didn't have the best series for her, which, you know, to me seems understandable. You've missed an entire series. I think she was coming back off an injury as well. So she's not fully healthy, not had a season fully healthy.
That's right.
but they picked up Emma Cannon. They just need a little bit more bench depth, which sounds surprising when you look at the bench production they got throughout the season. But that was with Hamby and Danielle Robinson on the bench as well, and Jackie Young, who didn't do too well in the playoffs as well after she was in the regular season. So maybe that's an experience thing because they are quite a young team. So maybe that's something they'll learn from and adapt from. But for me, and quite a big thing, and I know we've mentioned it throughout the season, is so they're obviously an inside shooting team, aren't they? They're not a team that take a lot of 3-pointers. And I just think in this day and age, the way the game's played, it becomes a numbers game at some point, and you need the outside shooting. And in game 3, Vegas only scored 22 points in the paint compared to Seattle's 44, which when I saw that, if that's not working, you need to be able to go back to have something to fall back on, like your 3-point shot, and they don't have that. So I think they need a bit, maybe, pick up a couple of players like a Sammy Whitcomb, that can come off the bench, score you some threes, and develop that part of the game. But whether that might be something that Bill Laimbeer just doesn't really want to do as part of his coaching team, because what they were doing in the regular season was working really well, wasn't it? They finished with they were the first seed, they were dominating teams, they were blowing some of them out, and they weren't shooting threes then. But playoffs and a series to me are just a different animal. And that, I think that's what they need to add: a couple more players and some 3-point production.
Yeah, and you called it. You called it before the season. You said that the 3-point shot would be crucial, and you weren't wrong. I wanted to see if it could be done. I thought that it might be able to be done, not realizing Hamby's injury. But then again, Hamby has that outside influence, as Chicago found out to their chagrin. Looking at this Vegas team, and again, I was talking to friend of Focus Hoops, Michael Hansen Morris, regular on this show, talking to him about, let's properly preview the offseason. He goes, the season's 8 months away. Anything can change. And it's like, yeah, fair point. But looking at who they have to come back, they've got Cam Beige, Plum, Park Ji-soo. That's 3 very, very good players.
Yeah.
If they can be fit back into this system. You got Cam Beige walking in to the starting center spot. That's going to move Wilson to power forward. Well, it's not going to move her to power forward, but she's going to be cemented as power forward. You've got Plum coming back in. So who's that going to shift out of the starting 5? That's going to start out. I assume Kayla McBride would probably move to the bench.
Yeah.
Can she play the 2 guard?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And then you've got McCourtry. Let's assume McCourtry's still there next season. Hopefully she is. So she may play the 2 with Plum. All of a sudden, you've got a lot of a deeper team. I assume Carolyn Swords will go back to her marketing job. So for Vegas, the future is super bright for this team, and it just wasn't quite to be this year. And that's a shame for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it is a shame when you see teams like this lose, but I also think that they've got nothing to kind of, be upset. Well, obviously you're upset you lose, but like you say, the future's bright. This is A'ja Wilson's 3rd year.
Mm-hmm.
That the team have got a lot going forward, and look, they were up against it at the start of the year. Like I had a quick look but couldn't find it. I was trying to find the power rankings for before the season. I don't even think they were in the top 4 because when you were interviewing Bill Laimbeer as well, they were practicing with 5 or 6 players. 4 players to start with. A'ja Wilson was in a walking boot before the start of the season. They were struggling for players. So they drastically overachieved from I think what people expected them to do. Maybe what even they themselves do. You wouldn't have expected them maybe to finish top of the league when they're out and missing players like Kelsey Plum and Liz Cambage. But yeah, the future's so bright. And Asia Wilson, sometimes the great players have to come up against something like this, have an experience like this, see what it's like to lose in the finals, and use that as kind of fuel to go again next time, and have that in the back of your mind, what it feels like to lose in that position. But then next time you're there, you've got that experience. You can learn from your mistakes. What didn't work, what did work. And Asia's and the Aces team, I imagine, will win several championships in the future.
Well, I certainly think they'll be thereabouts. So I don't know if we can quite say that they're destined to win them. You'd expect them to, but then,
who knows? Who knows what could happen?
Look at that Seattle team.
Yeah,
look at the Connecticut team coming back.
Yeah.
Look at the Washington team coming back.
The LA team, if they get Christy Tolliver in and Janae Agumake. No?
Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. I mean, look at that Dallas Wings team.
Yeah.
Are we going to go through like every team in the WNBA except for maybe New York at the moment?
But Sabrina, who are they going to? So Sabrina was on a media call the other day, saying that the organisation had kind of got eyes on maybe some free agents, because there's quite a good free agency class this year, and she was sort of saying it's exciting to see who they might be able to get from there. Some big names.
Do you reckon players are going to be going to New York to play with Sabrina then?
I do.
Candice Park? Is Candice
I don't want that.
Is she a free agent?
Yeah.
Are you going to have to get yourself some seafoam? You're going to get yourself a bloody Liberty jersey next, aren't you?
I don't know if I can support a New York basketball team. It just seems a bit wrong.
I mean, they are the good New York basketball team.
They are. That's true. That's true.
Bit better anyway.
Yeah, and they're in Brooklyn. So.
Oh yeah, they are now, aren't they? They're in the Brooklyn Center, aren't they? The Barclays Center, sorry.
Center.
Not in the Westchester Knicks gym. The Westchester County Center, is it called?
That sounds right.
I don't know. What's his name? Thanasa Antetokounmpo used to play for them, which was a good time. Sorry, you see me looking over at my second monitor. Obviously, it's a very concerning story going on around the sports world right now. That of Cappie Pondexter, former LA Sparks player. She has been missing. She's been reported as missing. TMZ Sports have just literally in the last couple of minutes, and it is TMZ, so take it with a grain of salt, saying that she was arrested in Los Angeles. And now, according to Women's Hoops, definitely give them a follow, by the way, Women's Hoops with a Z. According to this article, Cappie Pondexter was released from jail but has since gone missing again. If you have any information, please contact authorities. So I speak for everybody at the Focus Hoops, involved in Focus Hoops, that we're hoping, and if there are any religious people amongst us, I'm sure praying for a positive outcome here, and that Cappie Pondexter is safe, is well. This is all a little bit of a maybe a misunderstanding, and that she is healthy and or gets whatever support and help and love and kindness that she needs during this time. So I don't really have anything more to say on that. There is nothing more to say on that, I don't think, but just it's a very big and very strange and very sad story right now that is unfolding. So we're going to leave it there, and I'm going to close those tabs because I don't need to see that. More on that. We will obviously be sharing stuff on that as that news breaks a little bit more. But again, hoping and praying for a positive outcome there. So let's just now next week on the WNBA Focus Hoop Show, we are going to on the final one of the 2020 season, because you know what happens the week after. I do like that colour scheme. We're going to be properly wrapping up, having a look at every team, how they did, and I know Michael Hansen-Morris is going to hate it. We are going to have a little bit of a sneak peek at what could be in store in their future. But let's just talk about these two teams. So obviously, I mean, I think we've spoken quite a lot about it, really. The right team won, ultimately, because they just loaded. And Sammy Whitcomb, I did wonder if how much her loss would be felt, and not as greatly as Vegas needed it to be.
No.
Unfortunately for Vegas. Vegas played a hell of a season, though they really struggled in the playoffs quite a lot more than I was anticipating, for sure. What do you put that down to?
So I think, as we may have mentioned a couple of weeks ago, the rest you get out of a rhythm. So they had, did they have 5 days nearly a week off before the series against Connecticut?
Yeah, it would have been about 6-7 days, I think.
Yeah, and they just, they looked cold when they came out. They just looked out of rhythm, and it took them all series. It took them, till at least after half time to get back into any kind of a rhythm. So I think that played a part. But I was thinking Connecticut, even though they were the 7th seed, whoever got Connecticut in a series, they were just going to be wiped out at the end of it because they're so tough, they're so physical. You've got to match up against Alyssa Thomas night in, night out in a 5-game series, and it just takes it out of you. So I think they probably got the wrong end of the stick with the with that draw there, finishing with Connecticut.
Do you really think that the Lynx that have made easier work of the Lynx?
Yes, yeah, I think it might have been a 4-game series.
Okay,
but it wouldn't have been as physical, and the pace that Connecticut play at as well. Minnesota obviously would have been tough, but I think Seattle may have matched up better with Connecticut because they would have just kept shooting the threes and outscoring them. They wouldn't have had to keep driving, which is what Vegas needed to do. And you drive in, you've got Alyssa Thomas there.
Yeah,
with one shoulder, 2 shoulders.
That's a good point. It would have just, that would have been a very different series. That would have been a real shootout, I think.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it.
Yeah. So maybe Vegas are sort of wishing they didn't get that 1 seed, but you don't know what's going to happen, and you don't know what's going to go through in the series. But
did we honestly expect the Sun to get where they did?
No.
I mean, actually, yeah, we did. I think we both predicted that they'd get past their matchups when they happened. But
they beat LA again, didn't they, for the 2nd season in a row? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, at least last year they had Jonquel Jones, so you can feel a bit better about that. Oh, Jonquel Jones! I'm so excited seeing Jonquel Jones playing basketball again.
The players that are coming back next season.
So it's unreal. This league is so deep. Expand, WNBA. Please.
What I've enjoyed so much about this season as well is, I don't know if people were worried about it coming in, but I wasn't watching a team thinking, oh, I miss, something's missing here. I'm missing Elise Cambage. I'm missing Elena Del Don.
Not at all.
The quality of the play and the players that stepped up. You weren't thinking this is not quite a proper season. For me, this was one of the best seasons I've watched in ages. It was just, it was so exciting. And it was so good to see players get chances. Players like Jackie G, Shea Petty, we might not have had those chances in a regular season when the rosters were a bit fuller. But it's great. It's great.
Have you seen the Shea Petty shirt on the WNBA Player Association website?
Yes, is it the Petty time?
So good. So good. I'll be treating myself to some shirts on there, that is for sure. They're not going to plug, but they know who they are.
That's got to be a play of the season. If we were doing a plays of the season, you're going to have two of those Phoenix shots in. That the game winner, Petty's game winner against Washington, and Skylar Diggins-Smith, ridiculous. Let's take it to overtime.
Oh yeah.
Let's fling it from half court and go to overtime and win.
And I mean the out of bounds, inbounds 3.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great shot. It was out of bounds. It was a great shot.
Who? That was
Jewel Lloyd.
Jewel Lloyd.
Yeah.
Had that not counted, would that have put them at the 3 seed? Was it quite that close?
So they were 18-4. Vegas were 18-4. Sparks were because Sparks were
15-7.
6. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So no, it wouldn't have.
It wouldn't have.
Wait, who was that game against? Was it against the Sparks?
It was against LA, yeah, and I think the Sparks went on a little bit of a few game losing streak after that. I think it upset.
That would have been 16-6.
That could have.
Who knows? I don't know. I mean,
that's the thing. It's a game of seconds.
That is the biggest what if of the season, right? For me, that's the bigger than anything else other than Hamby's injury. If that shot doesn't wrongly get given as a 3,
yeah, because LA were on such a run as well, weren't they? LA were looking almost like they could have.
Do we have a different WNBA champion?
No, I feel like Seattle was inevitable. Just with the build of their team as well, because especially in this weird situation of the wobble, where teams weren't getting the practice time and maybe players were coming in and out and just getting used to the rosters and things. Seattle just had this core. They only had 3 new players from 2018-19, and they just knew each other so well. And I just think in the situation that they were in this season, Seattle were kind of built for it almost.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's a really good way of putting it. They were built for this situation because they had everybody.
Yeah,
they had. I mean, they may have had players that didn't report to the bubble, but
no one opted out.
Nobody opted out.
No opt-outs. The only one they had was Dan Hughes, and that was. And he says he didn't opt out. He wasn't allowed to go because of the medical concerns. He wanted to go, but he couldn't. So
yeah, they took everybody, and they know each other really well. So yeah, maybe I can't say we. Maybe I overlooked that earlier in the season. Let's have a little bit of wobble chat, because again, next week we're gonna go through. We're gonna maybe dish out some grades. I know people love it when we do the grade stuff.
It's never controversial.
It's never controversial, okay? I've never been criticised by a club for giving them a grade. Let's just talk about some wobble favourites then. Who was your favourite team to watch in the wobble? Doesn't necessarily mean the best team, just somebody that, like, ooh, they're playing tonight. I will definitely try and check them out.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. Do you know what? Connecticut always looked like they were having such a fun time off the court, and then their bench with Natisha Heidemann, Connecticut's bench. Just go and watch some screen grabs of what their bench reactions are like. There was such a tight knit group, and they've since forever they've had we're the underdogs, we've got a chip on our shoulder story. But they just looked like they were having such a fun time. Oh, and also Emma Miesemann's little creature hunt that she started when she was at the start of the wobble. She was like,
what was she doing? Like going around trying to fight like lizards and stuff?
Basically, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, she was.
I didn't know about this.
Yeah, it's great on her Instagram. She was like having it petered out a little bit towards the end, but she was having practically almost a daily what crazy creature have I come across today?
That's so good.
It was very entertaining.
Nice. My wobble team, and listen, you're going to be shocked by this. Dallas Wings.
That's out of nowhere.
Yeah. I think I might just have to sort of succumb to the Wingsness and just become a bit of a Wings fan. Not let it
embrace it.
Doesn't colour my judgment, or doesn't do any of that stuff. There is no real bias there or whatever. But I do like me some Dallas Wings. I mean, how can you not? You got such a young, talented roster, excellent coach, lovely, bloody great media guy in Sterling. Big up yourself, Sterling. And they just play really great basketball. Gutted they didn't make the playoffs. I don't know how far they'd have gone in the playoffs. I really don't know if they get past that first game, which would have been against Chicago. I don't think they matched up great against Chicago.
Arike was on a tear, wasn't she? Those last few games. Just put
Oh,
Arike in
yeah.
a one game elimination playoff series. Who
I mean,
knows what could happen?
that's a really good point. Let's just look at Arike Gumbawale's numbers.
I was sure she was going to get 40. I thought she was going to make it, but she was just off. I think she had 39.
I think she had a 39. She had a 39. Let me just pull up her game log.
It's not going to be long before she gets 40.
No. Oh, look at this. A Focus Hoops article. Jefferson, Arike, and Satu ready to play key roles for the Wings. That's right. You can see our articles just through the Basketball Reference website. That is
that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. It's a little bit cool. Let's see. What was her game high? Her game high in points was 39 against Washington.
And that was the tying it to take it to overtime and then just taking over in overtime.
I do not know. I have only a box score. Ended 101.94, so I think it may have been
sounds overtime.
September. So yeah, Arike Gumbawale, awesome season. She just fun fact, she was 23 and 188 days when she scored that 39 points. That was her highest game score of the season. She had herself a day. But again, they didn't match up well with Chicago. They lost to them twice. The second time, a lot closer. Oh, sorry. Where is it? Where'd it go? I think by 3. They lost by 3. Yeah, they lost by 3 in one game and lost by 7 in the other. So, I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I think I like the shooting a little bit more from Chicago, and yes,
they lost a couple of players as well, didn't they, through injury? Did they lose Ty Harris?
Yes, they did. Let me just, WNBA standings. Where are you? Oh, that's the wrong website. That's the wrong thing. It's going well. It's going really well. I can only apologize. Don't worry, we've got a new show coming up. Oh no, they'd have played the Phoenix Mercury. Sorry, not the Chicago Sky.
That wouldn't have gone well.
I don't think that would have gone well. And then Mercury, then the Lynx in a one game. Oh no, we would have been reseeded. Oh, I don't know. Whoever they'd have played, I don't think it would have gone so great. But yeah, Dallas Wings. I've absolutely loved watching them this season. They've been an awful lot of fun. Even though I've banned. Oh, that was the overtime game. Yeah. Even though I banned Mike Hanson Morris from watching them because he is a curse.
He is.
He is.
It's just a fact.
It is a fact. He needs to accept this. But no, she was awesome. They were awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have I don't think I've got an answer for this just yet. Or for like a game from the Wobble, one particular game. It might be game 2 of the finals though. Like, because I think we're gonna look back at that game and be like, this was an all-time classic, even though it got a little bit one-sided in the final few minutes. Like the rest of the way, that was outrageous.
It was just a shootout as well, wasn't it? But so someone actually asked me this week for a recommendation of a WNBA game this season to watch, and I gave them, and it hurt me, but I gave them the Seattle LA Jewel Lloyd buzzer beater game.
Yeah.
Because that was just it was so close all the way. It was just back and forth, wasn't it? It was just, two top teams playing awesome basketball. And they came away saying, that Candace Parker, wow.
It's like, wow, hey, you know what? Candace Parker, maybe she should be on an all-defense first team.
Maybe she should.
Maybe she should.
Team USA.
Alicia Clark should have been the DPOY, I'm just saying.
But that, and I think just because it was, for me, it was so fun to watch, the Seattle-Atlanta game where Kennedy Carter had 35 and they were like 1 point away from taking it to overtime, just because after the end of that first quarter, when they were just getting hammered, it just looked like it was over. And Atlanta turned it on, scored 12 points in the last 30 seconds of the game. And that was just a fun game to watch for me.
I think maybe Chicago Vegas, the first matchup they had.
Yeah.
That was a bit mental.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Real close finish, though it was early in the season. It was like, what? That might have been the first weekend, I think, actually.
I think it was probably the first, because it was like a rematch, wasn't it, of
playoffs. It was the first weekend. The only thing was, the basketball that first weekend was a little bit sloppy and a little bit scrappy. A lot of bad turnovers from teams. So maybe that game. Maybe that game. Or maybe Dallas Atlanta. 85-75 win for Dallas. I don't know. Maybe that one.
I think Dallas-Washington, both Dallas-Washington games, I think, were both really. They may have both gone to overtime, and they were both. I think in the first game, if I'm not mixing it up, in the first game, like Washington were down and nearly came back, and then the second game, Dallas were down and did come back.
They did. They did both go to overtime. They both went to overtime. So one of them was the Enrique 39 points game. The other one was an Enrique 24 points game. Let's look at the box score for that one. Who really shone?
What was Hines Allen doing? I bet Hines Allen was having a good game for them.
35-12. Agumbawale, 24 and 9 assists as well. That's dead impressive.
Double watch.
Almost. Kayla Thornton, 17 and 10. I'll tell you who came on strong towards the middle end of the season. Marina Mabry.
Yes. I really like that pairing of her and Enrique.
Yeah.
Like they obviously play together at college, and it clicks, doesn't it? They know each other, they know what they're going to do, and she had a great sort of second half of the season.
That came not out of nowhere, but a little bit out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like
out
the first 4 games of her season, she didn't score any points. First 2 games of the season, didn't score any 2 points. That she played, she didn't start the season. And then 3-6, 3-2, 13 in a loss to Seattle. And then this was a game. The win over Phoenix. That was a cracking game.
Dallas Phoenix.
Yeah, Dallas Phoenix. And that was like Marina Mabry just turned up, took over, and everyone's like, oh, hello. Where's this come from? Me and my wife were enjoying a nice takeaway or something, watching that game. And it's just like, I just need to be in this press conference. I'll be right back. Because it was just wild. 95-89. That was also the game where they showed that Brittany Griner film about how she helped basically save somebody's life after they had an ATV crash, which was just like, what?
It's like a superhero.
Yeah, a little bit. It was just... But she only got Brittany Griner, 29 points in that game. She was a bit good that day.
She was, yeah.
A little bit, just a smidge. And again, another cracker game from Enrique, 33 points. Ashley Gray, 20 points. Marina Mabry, and that was without the unicorn, Satu Sabali.
Oh,
which makes that all the more impressive. It's quite fun. It's quite funny. The 2 teams that I've enjoyed watching the most this season have been Las Vegas and Dallas, playing 2 completely different styles of basketball.
Yeah.
But I love that. I love that's. I don't know. That's what I really like about basketball, is that there are many different answers to the problem of how do you win.
Exactly.
Unless you're in the NBA, in which the 2 answers are hit loads of threes or have LeBron James.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because he might be the best male player ever. I'm just saying. I love the fact that was our first question we got the other night. That was awesome. Okay, we are kind of off on a ramble as if there was nobody watching or nobody listening. So I think, Kaz, it's probably best to leave it there. What do you say?
Yeah. So can I just make
Of course you can.
So
Go ahead.
Seattle are having a virtual parade tomorrow because they obviously can't have an in-person parade to celebrate the championship, and they're going to raise the Seattle Storm flag on the Space Needle virtually.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that's you can like log on. I think if you go on like the Seattle Storm website, you can go on and like register and watch it live. Because when I read that as well, I was thinking how sad it was that Washington never got to have their parade, because obviously the women go overseas straight away after they finish, and Washington had planned their parade for April, and obviously due to the world situation, they couldn't, so they never got to kind of celebrate that with the city of Washington. But Seattle are having their virtual one tomorrow. You might need to check the time on that.
Who would have been the player doing an Ovi? Alexander Ovechkin just goes on a huge bender, like dropping the trophy, doing all that good stuff, just living it up, just constantly, just party central. Who do you reckon would have been the biggest party animal on that Washington team? Do you reckon it's low key?
Natasha Cloud.
Yeah.
But I bet I bet Elena's quite a low key
party animal.
Yeah.
I hope it would be. I kind of want it to be the case, because again, we were saying this the other day, going into arguably the biggest game of her career, just looking like the most normal person on the planet. Yeah. It's like, how are you doing that? How are you just like wandering in like a cozy jumper, like a denim jacket, just like, yeah, I'm just gonna go and play a little bit of basketball. How? It's outrageous. But I mean, that's what happens when you were the best player last season.
Herniated discs or whatever it was she had in her back as well.
Absurd. Absolutely absurd. And again, final time I'm going to say this before next week. These women are incredible. Their stories are incredible. They're incredible athletes. They put themselves through ridiculous amounts of physical just punishment. Like, we've got players playing without shoulders. We've got players playing with herniated discs. I mean, we've got women coming back, playing whilst pregnant, coming back after having children and playing at an elite level. It's just incredible. Absolute hats off to all of these amazing athletes, these amazing coaches, and just a huge thank you to everybody who made this wobble, this 2020 season happen. Before it started, I wasn't sure about it. I didn't know if it was going to be a good idea. I don't know if, because the climate the world was in at the time, it's like, do we need this? But they've made it an amazing thing. The social justice has been incredible. Again, I got the email of the, the game story from the Las Vegas Aces. Let me just read you a key point. Key stats. It has been 207 days since Breonna Taylor was murdered. They have, since day one, gone in with a purpose and a message, which is say her name, all about remembering Breonna Taylor, but also fighting for justice for her and for Black and minority women and just people in general all across the world. They've done an incredible thing. The basketball has been so good, so enjoyable. It's been by far the season of WNBA action, at least, that I've enjoyed the most. And I'm really kind of sad it's over. And I'm looking for one day when they're able to expand and maybe have a full season. But then again, that would take away some great athletes from the European season. So, but a huge thank you to everybody at the league. You've done an amazing job. The players, you've done an incredible job. Coaches, you've been amazing. What a season. We'll be back next week to break it all down. Finally, we're going to grade every team. We're going to celebrate every team, because every team has achieved something this season. even if it's not there in the win-losses. Every team has had some great moments. Every team has had some not so great moments, and we're gonna praise all of that, and we're gonna look forward just a little bit. Don't you worry, Mikey, just a little bit to what we may be getting a little bit of in the 2021 season. Kaz, is there anything else you would like to say?
I think we've covered it there. It's been an awesome season. It's been so good. It's been. I'm sad it's over.
I might say it's been the best season.
Let's say it's been the best season.
Let's do it. Let's say it.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been the best season of WNBA action. We've got one more week on this show left before we launch the Kaz and Daz show. Huge thank you for joining us. Huge thanks to you, Kaz, for being a part of this as always. And congratulations to the 2020 WNBA champions, Seattle Storm. What an absolute bunch of superstars. We'll talk to you next week.